Let's talk blockchain technology and revisit the president-elect's manifesto. Here's what the president-elect plans for blockchain in particular. It says, quote, "We will reform government policy to encourage the prudent use of blockchain technology in finance and banking and identity management, revenue collection, and interestingly enough, the use of crypto assets, cryptocurrencies." All right, so joining us to discuss further, Adebayo Adebajo. He's the CEO of Africa BIoT Labs. Adebayo, thank you so much for joining us. You were part of our research report on whether we can vote with mobile phones. So thank you so much for lending your thoughts to that. But let's talk blockchain. I think you even mentioned it in that report that we did on how blockchain can aid mobile phones. But even though the Constitution doesn't allow for that, we should let everybody know. But you're welcome to the show. How can blockchain be implemented in finance and banking, and what would it improve?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. So to go straight to the point, blockchain technology on its own, it's a software which allows connectivities, which allows interoperability between diverse, independent systems. Currently in Nigeria, if we are to implement the technology on the scale or between the banks, it allows faster and instant transaction remittances. So which means we will not be facing issues when it comes to transacting between GT Bank to Access Bank or Zenith Bank. So all these transactions are irreversible or issue of any receipt inoperative. All those issues should not be in existence. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. So if we were to go deeper, to implement blockchain technology in the financial, the banking sector. So we'll be entirely decentralizing the system in such a way that we'll be able to implement DeFi protocols, which allows people to not just become their own banks, but also providing solutions for the unbanked population, also providing means of earning, which is kind of limited within the banking walls. So we are talking about providing people with the facility to become a bank, to become a loaning, companies where they'll be able to provide cheap and probably low interest loans, because it's going to be not centered anymore. It's going to be fully decentralized, allowing everybody to be able to perform these functions. So we are talking about automating transactions in such a way that makes the lives of you and I even much more easier.
All right, and DeFi is decentralized finance, right? That's the short form for DeFi.
Correct.
Okay, what about identity management? How can blockchain be implemented and improve things there in identity management?
Okay, so I guess you and I were both kind of familiar with a situation that happened recently with NIMC, the BVN, all these identity platforms, which are kind of operating in silos. And the banks are trying to connect to them. We've had people have issues, for weeks without having access to their mobile application for the banks to be able to transact. So the current system that we're having for our identity management are centralized systems. So which means if there is a single point of failure or probably an attack launched to these particular centralized systems, the whole economy or the whole country can be in jeopardy because we will not have access to them. And most of all these banking services, any other services that we want to plug into requires for them to be able to verify our identity. So the blockchain aspect of providing a better infrastructure for the identity management ensures that such attacks cannot be launched because it is distributed in nature. We are talking about having multiple nodes operating. And these multiple nodes are each and every one of them are holding a copy of the identity ledger. So which means if one is attacked, we still have hundreds or probably thousands of nodes in operation, enabling the services to continue running, without interruption. Also, aside from that, currently we are very much aware that data is the new gold. So which means your data, my data, we apply it anywhere we see fit. But there is the current system which enables our data to be used without our authority, without our permission. So there are opportunities that allows people to earn money from their data being used. So the blockchain enables us to be able to grant access or permission to the use of our data, which in a way will be providing us with means of earning, even in tokens and so on and so forth. Yeah. Even aside from that, there are also several other use cases for identity management on the blockchain.
Yeah, the earning part, I know that's a selling point for Web3 and its implementations. What about revenue collection? How can blockchain improve revenue collection, especially with what's in the Tinubu Shettima Manifesto, with what would be accruing to the state?
Yes, totally. It's also applicable in revenue collection. And the most important part of blockchain technology that is applicable here is talking about the smart contracts, automating a couple of activities on the network, removing the middlemen. And of course, we know in the current system that we are practicing, there is a lot of revenue leakages, which is always due to having a lot of middlemen in the entire functions. We're talking about collecting taxes, collecting revenues for the government, and the middlemen are always siphoning these revenues, making it kind of inefficient, for the ecosystem to be able to boom. So, but with blockchain technology, you can easily automate a couple of transactions using smart contracts. So we're talking about percentage deduction and then flowing that revenue straight into the wallet of the government. And all this are done in a transparent way. So it becomes almost impossible to steal revenue from the sources or probably from where it's coming from. So everything is automated on the blockchain and transparently in real time. So people are able to audit these transactions without having to wait for a couple of weeks, months, or probably years before these transactions are audited. So we're talking about real-time auditing.
Well, hey, it's in the manifesto, so we'll see how it goes, going forward. What do you make? I really have to get your thoughts here. They put cryptocurrency. It's mentioned in the manifesto in that particular quote on what they plan to do. We know where the central bank under this current administration, its stance on crypto. Does this mean that, look, we'd love to have President-elect Tinubu on the show so we can ask him directly, or maybe his ICT minister, digital economy minister, whoever he appoints when he's sworn in, seeing how if the court cases go his way. What do you make of the crypto assets part of what's in the manifesto? Well, is this a game changer?
In a way, is it doable? I mean, the central bank already they have their own mandates and to be able to operate on their own. I believe in some capacity the central bank. With their own current decision on the matter, they have their own reasons, which of course, it's known to theirs. But on my own perspective as well, we're talking about enabling, is it the regulated ones or the regulated cryptocurrencies? What exactly is the plan for the government to implement when it's saying that it will allow people to start using cryptos? Because a lot of crypto out there, we have thousands of them, and majority of them are not regulated. So if this is allowed to be used as a means of exchange, in value in the country, it's going to have a lot of negative impact on the entire, economy of the country. But it's allowing it, such as the likes of USDC, which is already regulated in the United States through the banks and the SEC, and probably other regulated currencies out there. This, in a way, would kind of enable us to be able to have faster transactions locally and internationally. And of course, if the in-era is properly deployed, enabling people to create more applications around the in-era ecosystem, so this will also facilitate, better ecosystem or better economy for everyone. But it remains the fact that we need to properly, look at all this and look at the possibilities and how it is going to affect us negatively and positively before eventually deciding, to allow crypto to be allowed into the entire, Nigerian system.
Fascinating stuff. And this is just one small portion of an 80-page manifesto. This is exciting. We're going to get into this all next week, all rest of the year. Adebayo Adebajo, CEO, Africa BIoT Labs, thank you so much for lending your thoughts. You're one of the key players in this sector. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.